Welcome back to Tesla Fantastic. I'm not sure what I'm more excited about, Tesla or SpaceX. Today is the 19th of April. The Tesla share price is hitting rock bottom at $145 per share, and the Tesla Cybertruck has got 2 million orders at $100 deposit.
This is the most iconic vehicle that we've seen in at least 40 years, 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
This is.
I specifically wanted to make something that looked like the future.
Tesla is cash rich at the moment. What is going on and why is this happening? Because the stock market has loads of investments in oil, the negative news about Tesla is at epidemic proportions. Remember, most of the media is funded by oil. Because global oil production is now down 1%, the car industry and the oil industry know it's all on a downward trend. I personally believe that all new cars will be electric in 10 years' time. Even if we stopped making ICE cars now, it would take decades for the 33 million cars currently on UK roads to filter through the second-hand market. We are entering a new electric industrial revolution. In the 1900s, the UK extracted and burned 33 million tonnes of coal per year and imported 0. Right now, the UK only uses 2 million tonnes of coal per year, and the last coal power station is due to close in October this year. Tesla and Chinese electric car makers are going to steal the market from traditional automakers in the same amount of time as Apple stole the market from Nokia, or digital cameras stole the market from Kodak. The new electric industrial revolution is going to be a fantastic story over the next 10 years. The future is electric.
What I'm going to go through tonight is the overall sort of path to making life multiplanetary. Where are the aliens? A lot of people think there are aliens on Earth, and I'm like, great, I'd like to meet one. For a while there, when I was getting my green card and everything, it said alien registration card. I'm like, okay. Consciousness is incredibly rare, and perhaps fleeting, because this is the first time that it's been possible to extend life or consciousness beyond Earth. And I think this can be done in around 20 years. So we want to just get Mars to be a self-sustaining civilization as quickly as possible. Starship factory that we're building is obviously key to that. The strange spot, we're basically on a sand spit by the Rio Grande, near the beach. That is actually the gateway to Mars. This is the side-by-side of the 3 flights. You can see our thruster weight improved significantly. Tremendous progress from Flight 1 to Flight 2 to Flight 3. And we got Flight 4 coming up in about a month or so. If the landing on the virtual tower with the booster works, then we will actually try with Flight 5 to come back and land on the tower. The odds of us actually being able to catch the booster with the Mechazilla arms this year, I don't want to tempt fate, knock on wood, but I think the odds of actually catching the booster with the tower, probably like 80, 90% this year. When we first talked about it, it sounded so batshit crazy that you'd catch biggest flying object ever made with mechanical arms out of the air. It may end up being the most important thing that we ever do. Like the light of consciousness is like this tiny candle in a vast darkness. And that candle has only been lit for a very short time, and it could easily go out. So we obviously want to preserve the tiny light of consciousness on Earth, but extend it to Mars, and then ultimately to the rest of the solar system, and then start going to other star systems. I mean, I won't be alive to see that. People often ask why Mars? Well, there's not a lot of options, frankly. Venus is a superheated, high-pressure acid bath. The Moon is close, but it doesn't have an atmosphere. The gravity is only 1/6 that of Earth, and it's missing a lot of key resources. The insulating value of the Moon relative to Mars is much less. So if there's something that takes out Earth, like let's say there's a World War III, global thermonuclear warfare, they'll probably throw a few nukes at the Moon. Starship would ultimately be capable of reaching anywhere in the solar system. I mean, it's a fixer-upper of a planet. Okay, it needs some work, but it is. It's really the only option for becoming multiplanetary. We've learned a tremendous amount from when we started the company and at first were unable to get even a small rocket to orbit. 327 successful launches, almost 300 landings. In fact, give it a few weeks and we'll have done 300 landings. 261 reflights. Reusability was impossible, and even if you did it, there would be no point because nobody would want to fly rockets that much. But now we routinely fly and land the booster, and we recover the fairing. I'd just like to give a hand to the Falcon team for the incredible work that they're doing. 45 launches of Dragon, it's amazing. And we've flown 50 crew members to orbit, 46 to the space station. Everyone has come home safely, which is the most important thing. Incredible work by the Dragon team. So let's give them a hand. That was, couldn't ask for a better outcome. Actually, if you look at the sort of the plot of all the satellites going around Earth, this looks kind of scary, actually. But there's 6,000 satellites in operation, over 6,000, and 10,000 lasers, almost 3 million customers. So Starlink is doing a lot of good for people on Earth who either don't have internet access or it's very expensive. So it's doing a lot of good. From a tiny rocket to Falcon 9, which is a much bigger rocket, many iterations of Falcon 9, and then Falcon Heavy, and then Starship. And Starship will get bigger. SpaceX will do probably 90% of all Earth mass to orbit. And then China will do about 6%, and the rest of the world will do about 4%. And then once Starship is flying, we'll be doing over 99% of all Earth mass to orbit, which you kind of have to do in order to build a city on Mars. And I should say we'll also build a lunar base as well. So Starship in its final configuration or its final form will probably do well over 200 tons to orbit with full reusability. My guess is probably next year is when we will be able to reuse Starship, but I think it's highly likely that this year we will bring Starship or the ship side of it to a controlled point in the ocean. So there's going to be 2 launch towers here, 2 launch towers at the Cape as well. We'll have 4 launch towers, probably by sometime next year. You'll actually want to use the ship, take apart the ship and use it for raw materials on Mars. Because the ship materials will be so valuable, most of the ships you wouldn't want to bring back. You'd want to just use them for raw materials. Eventually, we will want to bring ships back, and I think we'll want to give people the option of coming back because they're more likely to want to go if there's some option of coming back. Most of the people that go to Mars will probably never come back to Earth. Then next year, we're aiming to demonstrate ship-to-ship propellant transfer. This is a very important step on going to Mars because you need to get the ship to orbit and then do orbital refilling, kind of like aerial refueling. And this will also be very important for the Artemis program for the NASA to get back to the moon. You don't need a heat shield and you don't need flaps because there's no atmosphere. So the moon ship would be specialized. Now, ultimately, I think we want to build a moon base Alpha, and have a permanently occupied base on the moon. Like that would be super exciting. So in terms of performance, we've made dramatic progress on every level for Starship. It's remarkable that we can see the Raptor engines, 280, and I think ultimately the booster engines will aim to get the booster engines over 330 tons of thrust. 200 tons per flight, fully reusable. Starship 3 will cost less per flight than Falcon 1. So roughly every 2 years, thousands of ships would depart from Earth to Mars. It would be an incredible thing to see these thousands of ships departing every 26 months for Mars. We want to get the cost of going to Mars such that almost anyone could afford it. Sometimes people ask me, are we developing these things? I'm like, not yet. So I think this would open up a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs, whether it's like iron ore refining or a pizza joint or a bar. There'll be an opportunity to do all the things that we like on Earth on Mars. A Mars bar would be, yeah. In order for it to be self-sustaining, you actually need the entire base of industry. You can't be missing any element. At that point, the future of consciousness is assured. You can just imagine all of these starships waiting in orbit for the planets to align, and then this gigantic Starfleet taking off from Mars. So we're actually going to do this. It's surreal, but it's real. So we're actually going to do this. We're going to take humanity to Mars. And I'm confident you can do it.